All right, guys, welcome to the Dawnbreaker podcast, episode 23. I am your host, Snoopy603. Joining me this week is the original crew. We have YNOTtheTiger joining us once again.
OG.
Tony. Oh, yeah. We got Scanner Barkley and the lovely Lady Warhorse, Miss Epona. Tonight, we're going a little, kind of not...
off the rails!
Yeah, off the rails. Let's get off the record. That doesn't make any sense. And we're going to discuss some stuff. There's actually a discussion that myself and YNOTtheTiger were having, and he brought up some really good points that I was like, oh shit, that would actually make a really good discussion to have. And it all revolves around the gaming community at large. We're speaking, general. We're not talking about any one specific community.
I will be.
Maybe specifically for a community revolving a certain game.
I will be.
But the community as a whole. And then Scanner, of course, is going to pick his fights and stomp all over people's dicks because that's how Scanner do.
I'm scared.
I'll fight everyone.
I'm actually legitimately afraid.
Oh my god, Tony. Really?
Yes.
Wow. Jess, I don't know if you can read the Skype chat.
Oh, today I found out that Epona is from Zelda.
I wanted to see where...
I said just before we aired, he needed to leave. And I reiterate again.
I seriously question why I'm on this podcast.
Can we just...
This is great.
We need just
the
the Scanner and Jess show. Like, come on.
For now on,
One of my subs during the week told me, you should just do podcasts where it's just you talking. And I'm really starting to see the sense of what this fucking dude is saying.
It basically is, because you just love hearing this stuff. You just go, man. Sometimes I love it. I'm like, I don't really have anything to say. Scanner's got this. And then you just...
I've just got such a nice voice.
You do have a lovely voice.
I like to hear it.
Scanner loves hearing...
You know whose voice is better than yours, though?
Dolce.
Baddie video.
Oh my gosh, she's doing it again. Alright.
I have him here in case I get a little upset. He's here to calm me down. I can just look
He
at
sounds
him.
like a fucking ginger Severus Snape.
Excuse you. Do not
That's what he
ever say
sounds
that
like.
again. He does not.
How's about this? Cumberbatch will be Hufflepuff and you know it.
Ha!
Look
No, he's
at that
got a
look.
point.
That look on
He
her
would be.
face.
He really would be.
I don't even care.
It's
He
legit.
would be, though. He's not.
Everybody knows that Hufflepuff
This-
are a bunch of doffers.
Like, he's really good at, like, Khan and Sherlock. He's good at pretending to be a badass, but he's really just a huge dork. Like, I can't handle it. Anyway, I'll just sit here with these.
So we're gonna...
Clayton gave me this, by the way.
Did he really?
He searched for
Remind me
it
to
and
slap.
got it from me. And then my friends in Boston, they mailed this to me. People, I have awesome friends. You guys. Not including you guys. You guys suck. But
That's
anyway,
because we're not helping to enable your problem.
Whatever.
We're not
Whatever.
enablers.
Haters.
Okay. Tony,
Yeah.
you had brought up some rather interesting points the other day when you and I were discussing just things in general. And pretty much like kind of the catalyst of the
Oh, we're just jumping
conversation.
into this. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, we're diving right in.
Alright.
Oh wait,
No
Well, I didn't know
foreplay.
if we
Let's
should
just move.
mention just quickly because I feel like sometimes we go a little too into the Patreon, but we had. I mean, I don't want to use the word tanked because we're fine. Like we are not losing any goals or anything, but we're definitely we're lower. We have more patrons but less money.
Yeah,
So, if you guys, we still have the servers and everything, but if we drop any lower, we're gonna lose a server. And for the site, like it's fine because as long as we have like $50, we can keep it up quick, like at the relatively quick speed that it is. But if we go any lower, we're gonna lose the Reign of Kings and the Battlefield server. Our TeamSpeak is free now, so we're good there. But I just wanted to mention it. In case, somebody was on the fence and they were like, nah, they're good. Well, please.
How the fuck am I going to get my solid gold arm?
Yeah.
Oh my
Guys, you need to keep the funding going or else Scanner won't be able to get his solid gold arm to polish off his knob with every night.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Think about it. When I'm better and I'm at PAX, do you want Scanner Barkley punching people with an albeit fantastic human fist? Or do you want me hitting people with a solid gold fucking hand? Make your mind up, people.
Yeah. Definitely gold.
Get a point.
I would go for diamond, but that's like the 5-year plan.
Unless the Patreon really takes off right off the bat. But speaking in all seriousness, if you guys could please take a moment to check out the Patreon. If you guys have been on the fence about thinking about pledging, we'd greatly appreciate if you could. We recently just lost a huge pledger and a couple of other ones. But some other people have come in behind that too. And yeah, I'm not...
We have,
there's
like, more
absolutely nothing
people.
wrong with people that stop pledging. Totally understand when money's just not there. If trust us, we all know.
Lannister
We've all been
Buckley.
there.
That's great.
So we
know
would
what
appreciate.
Anyway,
What also helps is if you think of it, I don't want to use the word pyramid scheme, but if you think of Dawnbreaker as a triangle, where you bring in 2 people below you to pledge and they bring in 2 people to pledge, we're good. It's definitely not illegal.
No, not at all. Danny, we'll try not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so other than that, we still have the TeamSpeak for anybody to use. I have not really been in there lately. I've kind of taken a step back to play with Fake Third a little bit, and he's been
missing.
we're just trying to keep it low key. But I am trying to get back in there a lot more often so I can shoot people.
You were just talking about you were planning a community night.
Yep, I'm still planning on doing a community night very soon. I should probably nail that down because, dude, like, I'm not complaining. Things are great. I feel wonderful. But things are all so busy still with just general life and work. Everything goes by in a blur. So, like, last week I was talking about, yeah, we'll do the community events thing. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I should probably, like, do that now. Like, nah, I got plenty of time. And then here we are a week later. I'm like, that felt like it was yesterday. Time's flying by fast, so I should jump on this. So if you guys are interested and you have some suggestions, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you want. Or in the forums. Let me know. We'll all discuss it.
I hear Geometry Wars is a good game.
Oh, I haven't played that in a while, but yeah, I'm just getting stomped on it. But we'll have to play it.
It's pretty dank.
It is. All right. We're going to jump into the meat of the conversation.
Like 3 years ago when that game was big on the Xbox Live.
Well, Geometry Wars 3 just came out. Like a month ago, maybe?
And now it's big on everything.
Yeah.
It's big on everything. Huh?
Big on bragging rights if you win. Okay. We got things to discuss. Tony, I see you're organizing. I'm going to tell you to fuck off with that noise.
Yep.
You and I had a conversation the other day. And kind of one of the catalysts of the conversation was a couple of people and their overall attitudes and the way that they were conducting themselves.
We should
I'm going to say right now, this conversation is going to be fucking stupid if we don't get some names.
No, I'm not.
I was actually going to say you're setting this up as if we were talking about specific people. We were just talking in generality.
It's generally speaking, there was 2 people, not 2 people, actually more than 2 people, but there's a couple of prominent things that brought up the conversation and realized that the discussion we had applied to a huge amount of people. It's just things we saw kind of with a catalyst to the conversation. And the further catalyst to the remainder of that conversation was you said, and I quote, because I still have it here on Hangouts, games are supposed to be fun, and they should be fun to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I don't think... I know that. I don't really remember... There is. I know that I was talking in generalities. I don't know if there was any... It was when... oh, my God. Who was... Oh, this was like 2 weeks ago now.
Just about.
April 29th. So
this is a week ago.
2 weeks ago. A week ago. Yeah, sorry. I don't remember who was and what was it about. I think it was about Hardline or something.
I know who it was.
You probably do. Hang on, I'm trying to back up because I thought I had it, but...
I don't even have to fucking be there and I know who it was. I know it was something that you saw on Twitter that you were talking about too.
No, it wasn't that.
Okay, so one of the things you had said, Tony, was the more that you've taken a step back from YouTube and the gaming scene in general, you see that the people seem to be more entitled. Gamers seem to be more entitled than you had otherwise noticed, but being able to take a step back and see it more from an outside perspective, that's how you would put it.
Well, for me, basically, like... Getting out of like trying to figure out what the hell we were actually talking about, what I was referencing on Twitter, because I really honestly don't know. what Scanner's talking about, if I know what he's talking about, that was a couple weeks back, and that didn't go any further than on Twitter. But anyways, but basically, like, being able to step back and not being in the community anymore gave me a very nice perspective on everything. It changed the way that I was looking at the gaming community in general, and a little bit has to do with the fact that, like, I've been so into my own research that it's just I haven't been involved. I haven't been keeping up, and so listening to what people are griping about, and then sort of like seeing that in the context of my own historical research, kind of was like, this is really strange. I don't quite understand how the gaming community got to where it is now. And so basically, just to sort of sum up our conversation, what I was basically getting around to saying or arguing was just that I'm more looking at the gaming industry as one of the other forms of entertainment, so like movies and music and books. And what I was finding to be very I don't know, annoying is the fact that people are griping about the creative content that these creative professionals, these creative people, these guys who are making video games are putting out. So people are very harshly criticizing. That's what it was. It was Battlefield what the hell?
Yeah, it was
Battlefront. No, it was Battlefront. It was about the AT-AT being on rails. And so I don't understand why it is that our community, very specifically our community, feels so entitled that the game developers themselves should not create the games that they want to create, but they have to create the games that the community wants to create instead. So, I mean, you don't see that in other mediums. Like, you don't see that. You don't see an author going to his fan base and say, tell me the next book you want me to write. The author writes the book. People buy it. If they like the author, they won't buy it. You know, same with musicians. Same with films. So these people make these films or these stories that they want to tell, and the consumer base either buys it or doesn't buy it. Of course, there's critiques, but gaming, very specifically, gaming is very vocal about getting what it is that they want, and when they don't get that, they bitch up a storm. It's insane how bad, like I said, taking a step back, how bad gamers complain about stuff. And I think we do have a right to complain if it's not within, say, the creative process. So, like I said, for like Hardline, the choice that Visceral decided to make to do a police-based game, people can say, like, that's kind of stupid. That's not Battlefield. My point is like, when people are going like, why didn't you make Bad Company 3? You should have made Bad Company 3. Well, but they didn't want to make Bad Company 3. They're the creative people behind the game, and they made the game that they wanted to make. So basically, just kind of what I'm saying is, it just amounts to, I don't quite understand why, as a community, we feel so entitled to get exactly what we want, and when we don't get it, all we do is complain about how we didn't get what we want.
I'm going to be a bit of a dick. And
so yourself?
Standard operating procedure.
Yeah, I'm normally the first person. If there's a dude on the street to be called a fucking moron, I'll be the first in the queue to tell him he's a moron. But I think there's something that we should caveat at the start of this conversation, and it's something that we should all be aware of and realize. What we look at as the community isn't the community. It's a filtered, hand-picked, social media-affected imprint of the community. The community that Tony sees will be a different makeup to the community that I see because of who he's sub to on Twitter or YouTube or the streams that he watches or anything else. We're a microcosm of the gaming community. The majority of gamers don't give a fuck. They never say anything or they never do anything. They just go in and they buy maybe one game a month. And that's it. And they love the fuck out of that game. They see no problem with it. They really enjoy playing it. And then next paycheck rolls in and they're like, oh, nice, I can go buy another game. What we're talking about is a highly passionate, in both the positive and negative sense of the word, very small sampling of the community. What we're actually going to be discussing is far more of gamers who also do social media that we also follow and interact with, rather than talking about gaming. I see it a lot where people go, oh, gamers are so entitled now. But I don't think so. Like, I don't think they're entitled. I just think that we're in scenarios where we see a percentage of gamers who happen to be entitled. I think the vast majority of gamers are just like happy. They like the games. Assassin's Creed Unity, fucking loved it. They're that kind of person. Like, they just have fun and they enjoy games. But we're sat on social media, so we're going to see the memes and the jokes and the anger. And because we see it, we're also more likely to express it ourselves. So it's like this big echo chamber feedback loop of somebody buys X game and it's shit, and they tweet that it's shit, and then I retweet that tweet, and then, 10 people retweet it, and then 20, and then it's a big thing, and then it's almost funny for a day and an in-joke to take a shit on the game. And then tomorrow it's a new game. Like, Jesus, Hardline, that's not even a joke anymore. You barely even see jokes about Hardline. That's how fast that fucking thing died. Like, it's just over. Like, I'm not saying there's not shitty people out there who moan and complain about everything and want everything done their way. I'm just saying that it's a reasonably small portion of the actual community. Like 6 years ago, I was one of those people who I play games, man. That was it. I had other shit to do. I was busy. I had jobs and fucking gigs and stupid songs I had to write and crap like that. And then as free time increased and I got more into gaming, only then did I give a fuck about anything like YouTube or Twitter or who gave a shit about what this guy said, who, works for that studio, etc. But I just think that's an important point. I'm not saying there's not whiny fucks out there. I'm just saying that we as people are in a position to see a lot more of the whiny fucks than the average gamer would.
I would definitely agree with that, especially if, depending on what you had said, who you're following and kind of what kind of community you're surrounding yourself with. I think it's two-part also. One part being people are really passionate about the game, and they go into it with certain expectations, and if they don't see those expectations, that's where that sense of entitlement comes from. Like, okay, well, this is what I had in my head, and what the fuck? This is clearly not the direction I thought you guys were going, based off the picture you'd painted and the expectations that were built up within me because of that. And then the other part of it, I think, is the YouTube money aspect of it. In the sense of you've got people, whether they're making $50 a month or $5,000 a month, and some of the shit they bring up could just be for the sake of driving conversation because they need some sort of content to go with. So they'll just start throwing darts up and picking out random shit for topics, and maybe some of those topics are okay. Well, I didn't like this, so what the fuck? Why can't we have this in the game, guys? Discuss, like, and fave.
Smash that like button.
Yeah.
God, I wish people would fucking stop saying that in their descriptions.
I agree with Tony that the community does seem that way, but then I also agree with Scanner in that what we see online through social media is definitely just a small sample size of the overall community. And I don't know if it's from my standpoint, it's a growing... It is a vocal minority, and Scanner was right to make that distinction. But it is a vocal minority. It's not just people you follow on Twitter or people's videos you watch on YouTube or streamers' reactions, but Facebook pages. Like, you're getting outside of the gaming realm. You're getting into the larger the population at large now. So it still amounts to the same type of people. These sort of vocal, passionate gamers. But it's not specifically isolated. From what I can tell, it's not isolated to just the normal social media that we know of Twitter and, say, YouTube, as far as the game reviews and stuff.
I remember when Max Payne 3 released, this is actually a really good example of what Tony's talking about, and even a kind of cross section of his later point. On the Facebook page for Rockstar, they would post Max Payne stuff because Max Payne 3 was fucking out. It was their new game, so they'd be like, "Oh, here's a screenshot," and on that screenshot, there would in the comment section, there would be a never-ending fucking parade of people going, "This is shit. Where's Grand Theft Auto 5?" Just over and over and over again. As if this was somehow going to make Grand Theft Auto 5 come out quicker. As if Rockstar were going to go, "You know what, you're right. We've just launched a major tentpole title onto the market yesterday, but because you fucking babies won't shut the fuck up, and it's not even close to completion, we're going to release Grand Theft Auto 5 tomorrow because you keep asking for it on Facebook." And it would just ratchet up every week as more Max Payne 3 stuff would come out, screenshots, DLC info, all that stuff. There'd be more people trying to tell Rockstar how shit it was and to just do Grand Theft Auto 5. Because of self-obsession, they don't understand that there's a market for Max Payne 3, and Max Payne 3 sold quite well and was actually a pretty fun game. But all they can see is whatever they want to play next. And that's it. And it better be the version of that game that they want to play next, which is what you're seeing with Battlefront, for the most part. When BF3 blew up, all of a sudden, everybody had played every Battlefield title ever. Anybody else notice that? BF3 starts selling out the ass. And everybody everywhere 10 years ago, 11 years ago, was playing the shit out of, 1942. Oh, I played 1942. Did you? Did you really? Or are you full of shit?
I bought it and installed it and I played it for an hour, so yeah, I did.
Yeah, bro.
Whatever wasn't Unreal Tournament back then, I wasn't playing. That's always the answer I give. Did you play 1942? Yeah, for about 2 seconds. Then I realized this is an Unreal Tournament, and I went back to playing Unreal Tournament.
God, I was just thinking about that
Monster
game today.
kill.
It's that same shit of... There's a big difference between expressing your preference. Me, I am unlikely, I would say right now, 60-40 to pick up Battlefront, because it doesn't look like the kind of game I am after right now. So DICE and EA can show me more of the game and I'll make my decision to buy it. I don't see the benefit in sitting on Twitter and tweeting about this all day, every day. I unfollowed plenty of fucking people on the day of the Battlefront reveal. Because it was revealed, they were disappointed. I knew that they were disappointed. They reminded me 60 times before I went to bed that they were fucking disappointed. And I woke up the following day and they were still rabbiting the fuck on about it.
Not only did I mute those people, but there was two kinds of people when the Battlefront thing came out. There was those people, and then the other ones going, that were fucking in love with that
But what
game.
about, I was kind of straddling both
dicks so I could put them both in my mouth.
Sorry, what, Jess?
I said I was kind of straddling both sides. I was pissed that they didn't show gameplay, but also I couldn't. I mean, it's May the 4th, guys. May the 4th be with you.
You were given. Remember from a previous
Star
podcast,
Wars.
you were the one doing the half-hearted hand job over that game, right? You're like, it's kind of good.
This is all you get.
I can't decide.
That's kind of how it goes with me anyway, because I'm not really a fan of that.
Oh.
Thanks for the awkward silence. Thank you for laughing, Snoov.
You're welcome.
It
The
just
other
gets
two of you.
boring to me. I imagine I'm not the only person it gets boring to. Like, you have 10 people saying the same fucking thing, and they all say it 8 times over the course of a day. I get it. You're disappointed. And you're magically all disappointed in the same fucking thing because you're incapable of finding something else to be disappointed in until some fuck points it out to you. And then you're all going to be disappointed about that too. And I've just been like, I've been going at my fucking Twitter with a hatchet over the last couple of months. I wait for these big events and I wait for people to get all worked up. And then anybody who ends up too far in either direction, they're gone. If you're unabashedly buying bullshit, you're stupid because, you know, PR, marketing, all the rest of it in AAA gaming right now is insane.
Yep.
So don't buy into it. But if you're sat there and you're endlessly like trying to run down everything, that's too much as well.
Yeah, I've been going out of my way to try and surround myself more with people that are more open-minded, that can see the good and the bad, you know, that aren't completely pessimistic or, you know, unabashedly hopeful and fucking in love with it. Jess is like that neutral person,
totally
but it's because she's all over the place. She's really, really hot on something or really, really cold on the other. So it
all
balances out in the end. The what?
The Witcher,
Witcher
man. I'm
3,
taking the
bro.
rest of the week off when that comes out.
Is it May 19th yet?
Is that really when it comes out?
It's the same.
No.
It's the fucking Messiah.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Damn.
You don't understand. CD Projekt Red and The Witcher 3 are my personal messiahs. I think Scanner too. Me and Scanner are on the same page. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all about The Witcher. There's a lot of games before The Witcher, though.
True.
There was, Jess, you and I were discussing this. After Tony and I discussed it, Tony, I forget where you were at that time of the day, but I was talking with Jess because I was like, hey, Tony and I discussed something earlier. It was a really good conversation, and I took everything you wrote to me in Hangouts and I sent it to her so she could see, because it was just easier that way instead of trying to kind of summarize it.
And I was like, oh, hell no.
No, you brought up a really good point, Jess, about one thing Tony had said where, I'm going to butcher this, I'm going to try and do the best I can to summarize
Where he made the analogy between film and books.
Yeah,
and gaming.
I guess what fans expect out of maybe their input or their entitlement to have input on something that is a video game versus something that's a book or a movie or a song. And Tony, you had kind of lumped them all in as one thing being kind of the same in the end, where like, well, you know, you don't react to an author and how their own, you know, personal creativity behind the book is the same way that, you know, a gamer handles a game when it comes out, and they're like, well, that's not what I fucking expected, and they jump all over it in that case. It still happens with fans of books, but I think, unless I'm wrong, and please correct if I am, you made the distinction that there was no distinction between all those. And Jess, you had something to say about that. Help me out here.
Oh, are you leading me into? Oh,
nice.
That's a good host move, man.
Yeah.
Actually, I was waiting for this moment because I pointed out that books and songs and all that shit. I know specifically films have been around for 150 years, and video games are 40 at most 50 years old. And I think that it's kind of an almost a unique medium, the relationship between the consumer and the producer, publisher, developer, in that they deliver it to us, and it's an interactive medium. So it's not like a movie where you go in and you sit down for 2 hours and then you watch it and you like it or you don't like it. There's not really anything you can do about it. Whereas with gaming, each person has their own experience with it. And the fact that it's such a young, new part of the entertainment industry, I think that that's kind of what sets it apart from other things like film and books. I think that we're still kind of figuring out how our relationship works with them. Obviously, there are people who are entitled and who whine and scream and cry and throw tantrums, but, you know, I've been on Twitter and I have seen the back and forth between people who legitimately care about games like Battlefield 4, who've been involved with the CTE, and they have a completely legitimate and mature dialogue with people like Tigger. I don't remember his real name right now, but who are really trying to help make things for the better. And you also don't go into the movie theater and sit down and have the movie be incomplete or missing pieces or broken or jumping around. And if you do, I think if we were kind of movie buffs and we were in the part of Twitter or internet sphere that were really into movies, you would see that. I think you might see that. People kind of giving their 2 cents or their shaking fists to movie producers and the like, because, have you heard of George R.R. Martin? Like, that guy kills everyone, and people are not always happy with it, and he takes forever to write the next book that's coming out.
That dude's gonna die before he finishes it.
I know! It's like, come on, man! I'm not even reading that series anymore, but
Wait,
I'm like...
who is this?
The author of the Game of Thrones series.
Oh.
So,
Jess, I made a distinction between the creative side of gaming and the public's ability and their right to complain about a product that's not working or not functional. Like, as a consumer, if you get a product that doesn't work properly, you have every right to complain about it. I was just making a distinction between the creative processes and the choices that are made during the creative process, and allowing those creative individuals to create the games that they want to create, and then just kind of comparing that to what I have seen as a very vocal group of people that are like, well, we want Bad Company 3. Why are you making Battlefront? Why are you making Hardline? These are creative decisions that these people decided to make. Visceral's like, we want to make this game. Now, whether or not if it functions correctly or not, that's right there. You have a right. If you buy a $60 game, or if you go and buy a television or a microwave or a refrigerator or whatever, you have a right to complain if it doesn't work like it's supposed to. So in that regard, yes, I totally agree. And I made that distinction in the chat. But I was specifically just talking about the creative process and these creative choices that these people choose to go down, and just this sickening, just how sickening it is, how vocal these people are that they don't get what they want. Like, well, we don't want this. We want something else. Why aren't you listening to your community? And they don't have to. They're the creative people behind the game. They're making the game. They are making the game that they want to make.
I think that's a good distinction to make, and I think you have a good point. But I also think there can be a different... Like, there are people throwing tantrums and telling developers what they think they should be doing, and that's fucking stupid. Like, they're going to make what they want to make. They're the artists or whatever. But there's also the difference between... I feel like there's a unique... communication between consumers and developers in the gaming community, as opposed to other facets of the entertainment industry, where we kind of have this two-way thing going, and they tend to say things or make promises and then not go through with it. I mean, not necessarily things broken, but maybe things are delivered to us in the way that they were not advertised as such. And when you go to the film or whatever, you see movies and whatnot, you're sitting there and you're consuming it and you're interpreting it as your own thing. But with games, there's kind of an even more intimate relationship with how that goes back and forth.
I definitely agree that, and it's a factor that I didn't consider, but I definitely agree that we have a unique medium here, because like you said, it's an interactive medium. Young. Well, it is very young as well, but we have like you said, we have an interactive medium, and so we have a different relationship with the product that we're consuming than, say, a film, because you go to a film, you watch it, you either like it or you don't, and then you go home. With a game, I mean, you own it, it's there in your hand, so I think it's a far more intimate experience. And just the fact that from what I can tell, and if there's a community manager for Marvel, I don't know about him, but you don't have community managers for each individual film, whereas you have community managers for each individual title. So you're right. You're absolutely right. It's a different... you know, taken in the context of the conversation that we had, it was just a very like rapid fire Google Hangout sort of, you know, just brain dump. But I mean, there are distinctions that should be made. So, I mean, I just wanted to point it out. You're absolutely right about this, about the differences of the mediums. So we're kind of lumping them all together is not fair to, say, video games. But I just think in sort of a general, I think in generalities, I think in generalities, I think it still works to a certain extent.
There's a lot, something that's important to consider is that there's a lot that can go wrong with a game that can't go wrong with a movie, and that can't go wrong with a book. If you're reading a book, you don't hit page like fucking 147 and the book snaps closed and refuses to open for you again. You cannot open that book. Or you're watching your fucking DVD and you put it in your DVD player and it just refuses to play. You're a sellout fuck.
Sponsored by...
You know what I mean? It's like that kind of shit doesn't happen, but you can download your game and because of your CPU, GPU combo, you just get some weird ass fucking error and you can't play the thing for 48 hours until they patch it. So you've got these like legitimate technical things that can go wrong with any aspect of a game, and they make people mad, and then those issues are compounded by the subjective, such as whether a game is good or bad, you know, thematically and mechanically and all that stuff. And I think you've got like gaming provides a perfect storm of shit when it comes to giving reasons that people might be inclined to go off on Twitter. I also think there's a large amount of displacement that happens with gaming that we don't put on other media. And I mean that to be as general a statement as it sounds. Like, we have a shitty day, and we come home, and we watch a fucking movie, and that's it. We've watched the movie. We have a shitty day, and we come home, and we play a game, and the game crashes. You're straight onto fucking Twitter, and we're not talking about the shitty day that we're had and what led us to be in a bad mood. We're talking about the game that we're taking the mood out on. I think that's a big part of social media as well. We've become kind of conditioned to not talk about the big shit that pisses us off. Because if I have like a shitty day and something happens and I post about it on Twitter, there's a big chance of some nefarious troll bag seeing that and then starting a whole fucking thing. Whereas if I just complain about a game, it's only a game. If some guy comes back at me, I can just fucking insult him and it doesn't matter because it's just a game. You know what I mean? But having a bigger thing about like religion being stupid or some politician being a fucking jerk or some local law fucking with my lifestyle or whatever, you know, that's all bigger things that we don't want to argue about on social media. We want to argue about games because games have no real direct importance to us because they're consumable media that we instantly discard when we're done with them. I think that kind of plays a part. There is one other thing that I want to say, and I'm going to have some fun with this one.
Uh-oh.
But people really are entitled babies. Like, within the gaming community, there will be a percentage of people, especially YouTubers, especially loudmouth motherfuckers on Twitter,
YouTubers are the
who
worst.
don't do shit. They don't offer the community anything. They're just fucking personalities. And they sit there and they stir the fucking pot. I remember when what summed it up for me perfectly, what really kind of cemented a decision in my head to never involve myself with any developer or studio's projects, like a Ronku or something like that. I decided I could never do it because if I'm in the room, I'm wrong. And it's that simple. If I can look at the game changers and the Ronku people, if I can look at them and feel mostly disgust at the kind of person who's involved in these programs now, I really have to just admit the fact that if I ever get involved with those programs, I'm wrong. Like at one of the playtests for Hardline, Russian fucking Badger decides, hey, I don't like the rate of fire in this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video riling up nearly 250,000 subscribers and telling them all to mass brigade tweets at one of the developers to change it. That was his fucking solution to him not liking an aspect of the game. Now me, I made a video at the time talking about it, saying, hey, Russian Badger, maybe you should stop being such an entitled prick. Be grateful for the opportunity to be in the fucking room. Because if it was me, if I was that EA guy, if I'm like Dan Mitri or whatever, I'm looking at these morons going, most of them have the same fucking sub base. We don't need this ungrateful arsehole. Kick them the fuck out. But that's fucking YouTubers. It's about exerting their supposed influence on things. It's like, I'm involved in this, so I'm going to let all my subs know that I'm involved, and then I'm going to let them all know that I'm important by flexing my muscles and getting changes made that suit me. It's like, go and fuck yourself. What kind of balanced, normal, non-dipshit has that fucking response to not liking an aspect of a game that's in fucking alpha when he plays it? But that's fucking YouTube. And they're like, you know the way that we were talking about, you know, what we see on social media isn't representative of gaming? Like, these big YouTubers are not representative of gaming either. This is the mistake that people are making. They're not representative. They're just another fucking dude who plays games. And that's it. Whether I have 6 fucking thousand subs or 6 million fucking subs, it doesn't matter that I don't actually speak for those people. I only speak for myself. And that's it. It doesn't matter how many of these fucking plebs that fucking EA brings in to play their fucking game. They're just fucking dudes who play games. That's it. Their opinions are no more valid or invalid than fucking anybody else's. It's the biggest waste of fucking money I've ever seen in my life. It's stupid.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
If it was me, if I was running this show, I'd have shot the program in the face. Not one of these fucks is gonna stop giving me what I want because I call them morons. They're gonna sit there and I'm gonna give me the fucking free PR that I want them to give me because they've got nothing else. It's that fucking simple. It's the most, like, it's the stupidest shit ever. Tell me one thing that's better in Hardline because of game changers. Tell me one way that game was a success. Because fucking Jack Frags and fucking Westy and all these dudes were there giving their feedback. The game was a fucking failure. Complete and total. Completely failed to engage even the fucking game changers themselves.
I think the hope that I don't want to say most, but I think that the hope that I and others had at the beginning when they started bringing YouTubers in, thinking that, okay, they're going to get people that are really passionate about the game involved, and they'll be able to play it. And I assumed that when they brought these people in, it was like, okay, we have an idea for our game. This is where we're at right now. Let's bring in our target audience. And there's a dual benefit to this in that we're getting people to play test it and see if our vision translates well. And 2 birds with 1 stone, they'll hype the fucking game for us, and that's really cheap advertising. So win-win.
No,
and
it's B is the only thing.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. What I initially thought, and I think what others in the industry thought when they first started this program was it was A and B. It's clearly been B and B only. If it were anything to do with A, they would have brought in better people from the get-go, and the fact that some members of the audience, of the YouTube audience, have returned for these same kind of deals, like T. Martin and those guys, Jericho, obviously they don't give a fuck about what they have to say about the game. They're just riding their their views for a different avenue of advertisement purposes.
That money train.
And that's where I disagree with you saying it was a complete waste of money. From their point of view, I'm sure that the whole Ronku program, or not the Ronku program, just using YouTubers as another avenue of advertising their game has certainly been well worth the investment. Because, I mean, how much does it cost to fly out a group of 15 guys for a weekend, put them up in a cheap hotel, pay for some food, and then fly them back out versus putting up, you know, a 30-second ad during an NHL playoff game or, you know, MLB or NBA playoff game right now?
The thing is, the guys they're flying out repeatedly, you're kind of misinterpreting my point. The guys that they're flying out repeatedly are going to cover this fucking shit anyway. Like, monetarily rewarding the likes of, like, a Westy or something to cover a game he's always going to fucking cover makes no sense. None. Zero from a business, you know, point of view. Paying T. Martin, who might otherwise never cover that game, does make sense. But the Battlefield community doesn't want to fucking hear that, because when Ronku happened first, and I made videos talking about Ronku and defending the concept, and people realized, wait a minute, White Boy's getting paid? That's bullshit. He doesn't fucking deserve to get paid. And I was the one sat there going, well, actually, paying him makes fucking sense. Because otherwise he's not going to cover Battlefield 3. You are, because you're fucking stupid. But that's the entitlement. It's not a case, it's a case of I've been here, I've been making fucking Battlefield YouTube videos for a year now, mate. I deserve this fucking money.
Didn't we ban Battlefield from the podcast?
Yeah, but this is just general fucking business.
You know what we did ban from the podcast?
No,
but that's the entitlement sense. And that's the cream. You see the cream of the entitlement floating around at the top of fucking YouTube.
Oh, I cream.
And then that attitude leaks down to their subs. Because I'm Russian Badger and I dislike this, and I'm telling you all to fucking tweet at this dev, then everybody thinks that, oh, okay, we'll tweet at the dev, we'll be super mad at him, and make his life a fucking misery for a week over a game we've never played. It's fucking stupid. But no one's willing to sit there and call it fucking stupid. Whenever it happens, everyone's like, oh, that's just funny. It's not funny, it's fucking pathetic.
Yeah, but that's his personality scanner, and that's what people like, so we can excuse that.
I don't give a fuck about his personality. His personality makes him a fucking walking vagina.
He has no personality. He's a fuck. Oops, sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I have my own shit list. I have my own YouTube shit list from Project PTFO.
I think everybody's got their own shit list, but you have a justifiable one.
Yeah, I do.
You really do.
I have one at the top that I won't mention.
I bit my lip.
That's it. Over and over and over again. If I gave a fuck about YouTube in general, I'd have stopped doing it by now. Come on. It's turning into a fucking shit show.
It really has. I don't know, like, I'm kind of glad I stepped away from it because of that. And going along the same lines of Tony, kind of what drove this whole conversation, having taken a step back and kind of being able to take that 10-mile glance at the scene as a whole, it really does, when you remove yourself from it, it definitely looks like a completely different landscape than when I was involved with it. And I feel like I had a pretty level head about it when I was involved with it on the daily. Yeah, sure, there's a video here and there that I got involved with that may have been clickbaity or kind of bullshit or whatever, but for the most part, I tried to keep a level head. I was always honest, and I didn't go for any real bullshit content. And then you like I said, you take that 10-mile eye look at it, and man, the community is just a fucking nightmare. And it's going down the shitter real fast, and kind of comes back to a point made previously in a previous podcast about how much money changes the landscape of things. There's a lot of money to be had out there, and everyone's trying to fight for that slice of pie, and that has royally fucked up this community as a whole, as well as far as the YouTube community specifically. I was trying to kind of roll that in nicely, and I feel like I may have lost track of my original train of thought.
It's okay. I'm dancing.
It's all right. I didn't mean it to be negative as far as just trying to give it a different perspective. I feel like most things I say can be construed as me being negative. That's not my intent. I'm trying to be positive.
It's because you're a miserable dick.
Fuck?
I don't want to be a miserable dick anymore. Come on, I'm a happy guy.
But like,
Arts.
we're talking about entitlement. We got to talk about what people are seeing, and people are seeing entitlement be rewarded over and over and over again. So why don't I just get on fucking Twitter and tell this dev I think he's a fucking retard for not making a game that only exists in my head based off my subjective interpretation of a game played by millions of people? Because that shit's being rewarded. It's a culture thing. It's like the ads for PlayStation. You know, where they're like, oh, gamers are the greatest thing in the world, and that dude walks into a bar and like Kratos is there going, oh, you totally saved me, and then fucking Drake is there like, oh, you totally saved me too. You know, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, it's an awesome fucking ad. Like, it's an amazing ad when you watch it. Like, all these fucking, like, badass characters are sat around talking about the greatest of them all is actually the player. What a lump of shit. It's like, oh, well done, you spent 60 quid on another fucking game. That's it. Like, we're just consumers. We can't even decide if what we're actually playing is art and good or not.
We've come full circle.
It's like an Apple branding thing. I know Tony's gonna get like kind of real watchy of what I say here because he likes Apple. But Apple have long pushed this mentality that if you buy Apple products, that you're somehow enlightened. You're buying a better class of product. If you buy an iPhone and an iPad and your Apple Watch and your Steve Jobs commemorative fucking diaper, so you can shit yourself at rage every time you see somebody using an Android. And that leaked over. That stopped being cutesy in the mid-90s, late 90s. And then it started to result in this insufferable twattishness in the mid-2000s and into now. And it's the same thing. Like, these cultures are driven. And they're driven very specifically by branding and PR and marketing. It's like the only reason there's a console war is because it suits, it suits console manufacturers for there to be a console war. In an ideal world, they'd have no competition. But when you do have competition, you can't really sit there and negatively paint your competition in a bad light. But you can imply that such and such is better. Like when you see AMD and Nvidia taking cheap shots at each other in their advertising. It's boring and it's tired and it's this endless fucking, I'm better because of what I bought. It's old.
I like the way you say things. Bolt. Arr. Tree.
People are going to stay buying into it more and more and more. And it's only going to get worse. There's no point in sitting there and pretending that tomorrow everybody's going to wake up and just magically be happy and tweet at devs and go, I personally did not enjoy the last game you made, but I respect your right to make your artistic vision. That is a tweet that you will never fucking see in history of Twitter.
I really hope somebody tweets that to like Activision or EA. I really did not like the last game you made, but I'm really looking forward to your next title. Appreciate the creative effort.
I would tweet that to Esco.
Here's a C for effort. It's not gonna fucking happen. Negativity. Look, this is the main reason why negativity is what you see most, because it's fucking awesome. And people might disagree with that, and they might not like it, but it's fucking true. Because I just went on a fucking rant about YouTube tards. And everybody was laughing. And they're laughing now. I just insulted a load of fucking people. And everybody's laughing. But if I sit here and if I go, you know who makes really good content that I really enjoy? VatiVidya. Everybody goes, oh, that's nice. And then I go, did you hear who's a total dickhead? And everyone goes, oh, who's a dickhead? You know what I mean? It's a culture thing. Negativity is fucking brilliant. It can be funny. It can
Reality
be passionate.
TV.
It can be accurate. And it'll get retweeted like, whoa. Like you wouldn't fucking believe. And I see the dark side of this shit all the time on the Anxious Gamers. Where I write like helpful stuff that I want to be helpful. It gets views, like it gets read. But if I write some really horrible account of exactly how fucking miserable my life can be because I'm ill, that shit goes viral. Every fucking time. Because people love it.
I think
They sit there and they feel such empathy. Oh my god, I really understand this guy's experience. No, you fucking don't. You read one fucking blog post about a particularly nasty period of my life. That's it. You don't understand shit. But you loved the fact that it was negative. You loved that it was dark and it was nasty. Batman ain't called fucking Rainbow Man. You don't fucking fly around Gotham where there's no crime at all, dishing out hugs. It's like, hi, I'm Rainbow Man. This fucking Joker standing there making fucking balloon animals for motherfuckers.
I want to see that comic book now.
Some guy having a bad fucking day, he steps in a puddle, and then all of a sudden, fucking hear whoosh thud as the guy fucking drops. He's like, "Yo, you need a hug." Just fucking hugs him.
This big fucking 6'4", fucking 270-pound muscular dude giving you a fucking hug that feels like being trapped in a unicorn's vagina. It'd be fucking amazing.
It would.
But no, that's not what happens.
No.
Batman's parents are dead, and he's dead inside, and everybody's evil and horrible, and he punches them in the face because negativity rocks.
Speaking specifically,
it's fucking nature, dude. They didn't paint pictures on the side of fucking caves of people standing around singing "Kumbaya." They were stabbing fucking wildebeests, man.
True.
Struggling to live.
I don't disagree with your notions. Speaking specifically to gaming and when people give feedback to that, I think the big reason why you hear a lot more negativity than you hear positive about it is because an investment was made. You go out of your way, you spend $60 on a brand new game, right? You have all these expectations and stuff, and you go through it, you experience it, you come out of it. I don't know. In my case, using a specific example, we'll say BioShock Infinite. I fucking loved that game. I had nothing to complain about with it. That's why I don't talk about it, unless it comes up in a relevant conversation, and I will wax poetic about it to the best of my shitty vocabulary capabilities when given the opportunity, but only when it comes up in conversation, because, let's be honest, no one really likes to hear about something that's really good. You're just sitting there and stroking it when you really fucking enjoyed it. But when you genuinely dislike something that you've put a lot of time into, that you've invested into in one way or another, monetarily or time-wise, then yeah, that's when you're going to hear about the negative aspect of it, because you lost out on your investment on it, and now especially if you're passionate about it, you have what I feel is a legitimate reason to voice your displeasure about it. I think that's why you always hear bad things, and not many good things. What can you say about a good thing, like when it's just completely out of context?
That it's awesome. Grand Theft Auto 5 is like the greatest thing fucking ever.
I've heard so many people fucking say that. I have yet to find a single person that said this game sucks, or it isn't worth the time or the money.
Here's the thing. I'll have spent the last 2 fucking weeks, okay? Easily the last two weeks. Just talking about GTA 5 being awesome, and like Titan Souls being awesome, and The Witcher 3 is coming and that's going to be awesome, and Magic 2 is going to be awesome, and Project Cars is going to be awesome. I wish I had a fucking wheel so I could play it. And all this stuff is awesome. And you know what everybody's going to fucking hinge on? After this podcast goes up on the channel? I'm like, oh, Scanner was talking about this guy.
Yep.
It's like Scanner's a negative guy. Really? Or do you just fucking see the negative because that's what draws your eye?
This comes back to what you had said earlier. People do eat up the negativity of things.
They like it.
And
it makes them feel better about themselves for whatever reason. Maybe they feel less lonely because they too had a shitty experience with that particular game. Or maybe, as I said, it's a displacement thing. Something in the real world that they don't want to like have to acknowledge or deal with is easily replaced by a game or a person on the internet. Like, why be mad at this real stuff that I can't change when I can be mad at something pointless and, you know, ethereal?
Sorry. Jess, you missed a really good thing that Skinner said earlier, and Mantis tweeted it. It made me
Oh, you missed my hug man thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're
Oh my
gonna have
God,
to listen
that's
back
amazing.
to it. It was glorious.
If I could draw even like... I can't draw a fucking stick man. If I try and draw a stick man, he'll look like a fucking cube. But like, I would happily try and do like hug man. I think that'd be pretty dank.
I want a hug that feels like I'm inside a unicorn's vagina.
Yeah, you missed Hug Man, the world's greatest superhero. Not the one we deserve, but it's the one we need.
The
Understandable.
one we're stuck with.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what else we can say regarding this topic without basically repeating any points we had already made previously. At this point, I think we've covered it pretty roundly and from just about every perspective and angle.
Well, I'm
Correct me
always
if I'm
right,
wrong.
so.
I concur.
We
Here's-
did tackle that pretty damn thoroughly.
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to round up. So anybody who's thinking I'm a negative guy, right? You're dreaming. There is and there are extremely positive communities on the internet around gaming. The Dark Souls community is one of the most positive fucking communities I've ever seen in my life. They love the game they play it because they love it. The guys who make the content are really into it. They make amazing lore and all that kind of stuff. And that's not like a one-time thing. There's plenty of games with really, really positive communities around them. There's really positive channels. Places like fucking Geek and Sundry and stuff like that do like really positive stuff, and they're really into games. There's all kinds of Twitch streamers and YouTubers and websites and shit out there that are really positive about games. All you have to do is follow them and watch the stuff and reward them
Tabletop
for
Rubs.
being into what it is that they do. That's it. If you're noticing a huge amount of negativity in your timeline, unfollow people. You don't owe anybody anything to put up with their shit endlessly flooding your fucking timeline. You don't have to fucking do it.
Wholeheartedly agree. There was a good amount of people that I did not want to unfollow because I put them in two different camps. Ones were the ones I knew would get publicly butthurt about it, and I did not want to deal with it because I dealt with it in the past, and it was always a fucking nightmare. And then the other ones where, while we weren't actively engaging in discussions on the regular or even semi-regular, I wanted to keep that business relationship, for lack of a better term, open in the case of something came up in the future where collaboration would be good. And now that I'm no longer involved as a YouTube content creator, I was like, okay, well, I have nothing against this person, but I'm no longer interested in the content of what they're tweeting, so bye-bye. And I asked like 100 people that fell into that camp. And then the other camp of worried about being the butthurt, I said I don't fucking care anymore, and they were gone too. But yeah, I could not agree with you. And if you don't want to deal with the butthurt, I think you may have already said this, I already forgot now. Mute them. You never see their tweets, but it doesn't show up as you unfollowing, and fucking win-win. My mute list is so full, it's not even funny. By the way, TweetDeck for Chrome, beautiful thing. You can even mute specific words. There is nothing Battlefront related on my Twitter feed. It's great.
I
Battlefront's gonna
usually
be
mute
dank.
temporarily for like a day or a week, and then I take people off. So like, depending on what's trendy to talk about. I'm like, shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Okay, you can come back!
What'd you just say, Scanner?
No one
I
cares.
said Battlefront is gonna be dank, mate. You just gotta believe.
Okay.
Ignore the evidence, but believe.
I can't get into it because it's just going to be around conversations we had all over in the past, and no, not doing it. Was there? Did we have anything that people brought up? Did we have a topics thread for this week?
Yeah,
we should let
there were
people in the
old
comment
topics,
section ask us questions.
and there were also
We can do that.
There Slats had one topic, but I mean, I feel like
Slats is
it.
dumb.
We'll save them all for next week. With we'll post up another thread anyway, so that people because next week we have Phil and Crafty. But for those that are in the chat right now, if you guys want to start throwing us some questions, because like I said, I think I feel really good about what we have discussed regarding this topic at this point. We've been hitting it for about an hour now, but if there's stuff you want to talk about that maybe we didn't discuss yet, maybe a certain aspect or perspective of that topic we didn't discuss that you'd like to hear words on, hit us up, let us know. Or if you just want us to talk about anything. Oh, Deus Ex.
We can play asshole bingo. We're not talking about Deus Ex yet. Me and Jess aren't ready to splooge.
All right, I'm not going to say anything then.
I mean, it's May the 4th.
Other than I played it.
How far did you get?
About 2 hours in.
Nice.
Wait, so are you still in Detroit?
Yep.
Like the main hub? Okay, good. Because that is definitely where the most shit is to do. And if you had already passed it in 2 hours, I would tell you to go back.
I am struggling with that game, dude. No joke.
I can imagine. Because you can't really run through it in shooty bang bang. You gotta use your...
Yeah, it is 110% on my own shoulders and at the fault of my own weaknesses as a gamer. I am one impatient motherfucker, and this game is so goddamn stealthy with like fucking zero room for error to be made. I was dying left and right trying to get through like every single room because there was like 1 or 2 paths that you had to hit with the perfect timing to get through, or you would get lit the fuck up. And I'm playing on like the mid-level degree of difficulty.
Quick save is your
Holy
best
shit.
friend. Quickity quick save.
I had to shut it off. I was starting to get mad because there's no other way for it. I suck at that fucking game. And I was getting raffle stomped left and right. And I'm like, no, I can't do this right now because I don't want to hate this game. And I'm starting to hate it right now because it's kicking my ass left and right.
To be honest, the easiest way to play that game is to be a hacker. In my opinion. I don't know if Scanner
just
feels
want
the
to
same.
shoot people in the face.
OP. Hacker is OP.
Jess confessed to being a hacker.
I did.
What did he say? How do you guys feel about playing a game that was made by a creator who you have moral problems with? For example, if the creator is a bigot but creates games that you love. I wouldn't play it.
This is actually a really good question because
You're just sucking
myself
up to your
Myself
fiancé.
and T found ourselves in this exact situation a couple of weeks ago as a game release that we both are really interested in, and the person who made it made some of our favorite games from our childhood, but is now a giant douchebag. So we're like, I decided that I didn't want to buy the game. I'm like, I can't give this guy money. He's a fucking arsehole. I couldn't justify the decision to give him money. That was my stance. So I just thought I'd throw out the example and the genesis of the question, I think. It's like I couldn't do it. If I know somebody's a giant walking arsebag, I don't want you to have money, let alone my money.
But all the money's not going to them.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know it's not, but I also don't care.
Well, I mean, it's the principle of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like when I struggled about buying a Tim Schafer game. Not because I don't think Tim Schafer is probably a nice guy. I just think he's an arsehole. He's almost a Peter Molyneux, but not quite, but will be soon. So I'm like, do I really want to run the risk of buying this game that could potentially end up being an unfinished promise?
That's interesting because I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't follow games that closely in their development and the people working on them to answer that question. It'll always be for me a decision of whether or not I like the premise of the game and if I think the gameplay mechanics are going to be interesting enough for me to pay $60.
Are you drinking cranberry juice?
It looks like it.
No, it's like a fruit punch.
Damn it! I want it to be like you fucking period.
Yeah, I was going to do the same thing.
Hey, listen here,
It's
Snoop.
a line from a movie, Jess.
When you got
know,
some cramps
The
and
Departed.
bloating, you gotta do what you gotta do.
It's not The Departed, it's The Departed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The Departed. I'm from fucking Boston. But yeah, I kind of wish I was more like Tony these days. Like, I wish I didn't give a fuck, and I wish I didn't know about the people behind the stuff I watch and play and fucking read. I just treated it as a pure, like, entertainment thing. It's either good or it's not. That's it. The person behind it has no impact. That'd be pretty cool.
This sounds bad, but ignorance is kind of bliss right about now, because for me, for me it brings me back to what I used to love about gaming, which is the game. I don't get wrapped up in all the shit that, not to rehash, but like all the shit that the community gets riled up about. It's like, what, Jess?
No, I was just gonna say, is that the community though? If the developer is a dick?
Okay, how about this?
Or is
Like
that an
our
educated
small gaming community of us. So when we're all bitching about certain aspects of a given game, I don't deal with that now. I get on, I jump on, I'll play maybe an hour of Grand Theft Auto on my PS4, and if something happens that I don't like, or the game crashes or whatever, I'm like, well, fuck, no big deal. So I don't know. It's just kind of nice. It's a nice sort of step back, a nice return to when gaming was fun before it became something you had to talk about and make videos about. Before it was that constant conversation piece that you involved yourself in every single day.
Mm.
What was I going to say?
I saw your thinking face.
Were you gonna fart, or were you?
No,
gonna
I
say
had a
something?
couple of different thoughts. You know what? If I knew beforehand that a guy was a dickhead going on behind the scenes of a certain game, I wouldn't get it. But if I already had it, or it was I'd have to already have it in hand, even if I didn't play yet. But if I heard after the fact, I'd just kind of brush it under the rug and pretend nothing was going on, so I can enjoy the money I had spent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a lunatic. I understand that when there's teams of anywhere from 12 to 100 people working on a game, at least 5 of them are going to be fucking people I would hate.
No, you're right though. There's the probability is too
everything
high.
about them would piss me off, from the fucking hemp sandals that they wore into the office to their fucking views on separation of church and state. Everything about them would fuck me off. But as long as I don't know that, like Tony said, ignorance is bliss. It's when I've got a perfect example and proof that somebody is an arsehole that I find it really difficult to support them financially.
I'm waiting to see more questions from the chat. I threw up a thing saying, "Give us more questions." Oh, what is
your questions?
Really?
Sheepbot's got a mind of her own.
What's your favorite Star Wars? I bet you it's probably, I'm going to say Episode 2.
Wait, the movie or the games?
No, the movies.
Episode 2?
Yeah.
Burn episode 2
Wait.
in fire.
Episode 2?
She fucking hates the prequels.
Wait, what's the matter? You got something against Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah.
He represents a stereotype of the black community. What's wrong with that?
I just hate all lizard people.
Episode 6 is my favorite. Return of the Jedi.
I like the whole trilogy. 5, 6, yeah. No, I can 4, 5, and 6.
Pick your favorite. It's
not
I
fucking.
can't.
Not put a fence post up your butt.
I like it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I grew up we didn't have cable until I was in my teens. So all I did growing up was movies every single night with my family. My dad would make sure he came home for dinner so that him, my mom, and us 4 little fucking shitlins could all get together and eat dinner together as a family. And then fucking every night was family movie night. But because my dad was my dad and he wanted to watch what he wanted to watch, all we watched were fucking Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all the Arnold Schwarzenegger classics, fucking Predator, Commando, shit like that.
Yeah, how is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. It's a glorious thing. So that's why I say I cannot pick a specific Star Wars film that stands out, because that is my entire childhood you're trying to tell me to single out. I fucking loved all of them. I loved all three of them. All three are great.
The Return of the Jedi was the best, so now you know what answer you should give.
Yeah, bruh.
Sorry.
I got you.
Honestly, I kind of have a soft spot for like A New Hope.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
I can never quite figure out why, but it's like, you know, if I was going to throw on a Star Wars movie right now, like finish up the podcast and go, fuck it, I'm watching a Star Wars movie, I guarantee you I'd be reaching for A New Hope. And I'd ask my hand, like, what the fuck are you doing? And it'd just put it in a fucking DVD player and off I go.
See, I think for me, 5 and 6 just have too many slow parts. Just, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think 4.
I feel like a lot of people say Empire Strikes Back is their favorite, but I don't like that one as much because
that's because Darth Vader. They're like, Darth Vader.
Yeah, I guess that's the reveal.
No, see, that was one of my favorite parts. It's kind of like Season 2, Episode 3 of Sherlock. It's my favorite. The Reichenbach Fall.
Yeah. You know what? That one is my favorite, and I watch it until, like, three-quarters of the way through, and then I stop, and then I pretend that that's where it ends, because I can't handle it. I cannot handle it.
What?
Even
That's the best
3.
part. That final scene.
Oh, it's great.
Episode 3. That's like the best scene.
I can't handle the emotion.
No. I mean, the whole rooftop scene is just so awesome.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I like the splat part myself the
best.
Fuck
you.
Hey, I want to back up because Mike had a
high
good question.
drama, high
My
tension.
emotions can't handle.
Mike D asked, you shush. Enough with your emotions.
You
Mike
brought
D
it
said,
up.
enlighten us about community game night plans and the possibility of changing the ROK server to something else since nobody plays anymore. The only reason I haven't played ROK yet is because the weekend everyone was playing. And Mike, that's when you got involved because we all bought that 4-pack of game
I haven't played
codes.
since that first weekend.
No, and I didn't get a chance to. I forget what I was doing, but I know I was swamped. I was really busy. And then something happened where they put in a patch or they were resetting the servers like every other day, so it kind of made the game difficult to play at that point. Has that changed? Does anyone know? Nobody knows. We need to get... I think we just need to...
Know.
We just need to make it happen again. I still want to play it. Everyone made this thing sound like it was going to be really worthwhile, and for people that still play it, say it's still worthwhile and it's fun. I just haven't... I've been caught up playing DayZ with Fake Thriller. But as far as community game nights, I will put together something by Wednesday night. I'll have it up on the forums. I'm actually in a really good spot at work. I got this big project I had going up and running, so I can kind of like tone back the intensity I had going on for the past couple weeks. So I can dedicate a little more of the mind towards that. I'm thinking the last thing we did was for Battlefield Hardline and Chivalry Medieval Warfare. I think this time we'll go a different route. I'm down with doing Reign of Kings, but that kind of limits it because of the number of players we can have. I would love to do something DayZ too because that's fun, and that gives us the opportunity to do something a little different than what we normally do. But honestly, I'm up for whatever. If you guys have suggestions, put it up in the forums. I'm not sure which forum would actually be best for that. Probably just the general gaming one. Or just hit me on Twitter and let me know. But like I said, I'll have something up by Wednesday night. We'll start hashing out plans. We'll pick a date, the whole 9 yards.
I say we have a giant baseball bat fight in GTA 5.
If I could get the game, I would do it.
No, that's why I want to do it in GTA 5, because you don't have the game. Fuck off.
Oh.
Burn!
Right in the field!
It hurts.
Yeah,
my last YouTube paycheck is coming next month from Machinima. And I have to give pretty much 100% of it back to a subscriber because they were very kind to donate money for that microphone and stuff for the GoPro they use for packs. And I was intended on using that for more YouTube-y related stuff, but seeing as how I took a step back, it doesn't feel right keeping that and not reimbursing him for it because I used it for fucking one thing and I didn't even make a video on it. So my last fun paycheck, I'm giving right back to him, but I gotta wait till that comes in. At any rate, so
Every
that would have been
paycheck for me is a fun paycheck.
yeah. What's it like
I
not
have
having
no
a kid?
debt and no children. And
It's
your
awesome.
wife.
Not having a kid, best thing ever. Child free for life, motherfucker.
One of my favorite online comics is the Lunar Baboon. It's funny. It all revolves like around the comic creator, him and his wife, and then they've got one kid. And first, it's always a 4-panel comic, or usually the first one he puts his kid to bed, and the second one's like him and his wife's like, so what do you want to do tonight? She's like, let's go watch something. Like, yeah, and it shows them sitting out on their roof with binoculars and like, look at all those kidless people at the bar. They're having so much fun. I was like, oh, fuck. It's true. Oh, what else do we have? We'll tackle one more, then we'll call it a night. Do we see anything? Sociopath, yeah, Daisy is kind of in a funk right now. I think with the .56 build, it'll be a lot better. Right now, the loot table is really fucked up. But if you're doing a community thing where you're not concerned about looting up and, do something a little more low-key in the sense of intensity, I think it could still be a lot of fun. You just got to work with what you have. Another Castle Crash tonight or Battle Block Theater. Yes, T, I agree. Was there anything else in there? I saw. Hang on.
Line.
Misled Penguin. State of patches. Playing a game till a patch comes out. What do you think? I'm assuming that has to do something more along. And I hate to bring it up, but it makes sense in this sense. A la Battlefield. You guys agree? I think that's where he's kind of going with it.
What?
His question from Misled Penguin, he said, hang on, I lost it. State of patches. Playing a game till a patch comes out. What do you think? I'm assuming you mean something along like kind of what Battlefield does, where they could roll out patches for, say, like PC, because they can roll it out in no time. And they could do quick fixes. Or same thing for all the other platforms. But because it costs so much fucking money and red tape you gotta go through for PSN and Xbox Live, they hold it so they get a big fucking chunk of it and then roll it out in one big push. But now you're holding up the game for like 2 months on a couple of little bullshit bugs because they want to try and flush out a little more and just push it all out in a more cost-effective manner. Jess, I swear to fuck, I will kill you if you fucking don't put that down.
Sorry.
I just play I play a game that works. That's my new stance. If something doesn't work, I just turn it off. I play something that does work.
That's a good point. If you got a big enough library, it's easy enough to do.
Yeah, and I got too many fucking games. And drowning in the fuckers. And yet, I will buy more.
Dude, you're drowning in the pickles. Sorry. I see that look you gave me. Alright, I'm going to end it on that high note.
You are the worst lesbian ever.
You really are.
Thank you.
That's not something to be proud of.
Is that a 2013 quote now, or is that 2012? How old is that?
2012, I think.
Really?
Jesus,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that to Jess probably the first day I met her.
Probably.
Who are you? Oh, I'm Scanner. Oh, hi, I'm Jess. Nice to meet you. Cool, you're the worst lesbian ever, just so you know.
just pointing it out.
But I have a weakness for middle-aged British men who are famous.
Gingers.
Gingers. He looks like a fucking weirdo as a ginger. Okay, we're done.
He's
All right, guys.
naturally a ginger.
That's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. Again, with Patreon, if you could please, if you can't pledge, if you could please spread the word on it, that would be incredibly helpful, and we would greatly appreciate it.
We need a gold arm.
We're doing okay right now. We are still way short of getting the Scanner's golden arm up, but we're holding steady with keeping the servers alive. If we do drop any more, unfortunately, we're going to lose a server, so if you guys could help keep it going, we greatly appreciate it. Billy, I saw earlier that you did upgrade your pledge. Thank you very much for that, dude. Seriously, really appreciate it. Billy's a good dude. He's been here from fucking for years. Been very, very supportive of what we do, and we greatly appreciate that. And everybody else that is sitting there pledging money to us. We see Tony. He's a good dude. He's a fucking poor,
very quiet
college student,
about it too.
And he's still forking out cash to help keep the dream alive. That's gonna wrap it up. Next week we will have the European invasion again. It'll be Crafty Cockney and Phil joining us, which will be very interesting. Hopefully they'll be hammered again. I haven't drank in a couple weeks, but even I will get out some beer.
Hopefully we'll be slightly less hammered, because
no,
by the end of that, Crafty was like,
funny. Yeah.
Wow,
he DM'd me.
You need to lay
he
down.
Messaged me on Twitter like fucking 10 times. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry about last night. I'm like, you're really that hammered? It's fine. You were fine. All right, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. It was a great night. We had a lot of viewers too. We're hitting in the high 30s almost the whole time, and then we even hit the 40s too. Always good to see that. Hopefully next week we can even go a little higher. I'd like to see this thing grow and progress and reach higher heights and be ever more farther reaching. I can English. Have a good night, guys.
I can sentence.